Have you ever wondered what it truly means to embrace life fully in your golden years? Imagine releasing the unnecessary burdens that have weighed you down for decades and stepping into a lighter, more joyful existence. In this guide, we'll explore 9 transformative aspects of life that you can release to experience greater serenity, clarity, and contentment. From freeing yourself from external validation to embracing your own happiness. Each principle is designed to help you live authentically and intentionally in this precious season of life. Stay with us until the end to discover practical insights and actionable wisdom that can help you redefine your journey and embrace the freedom to live joyfully in your 60s and beyond. If you find value in these reflections, please consider sharing them with others who might benefit from these perspectives. Your support means the world, and together we can spread these valuable lessons far and wide. If you connect with the themes in this guide, let me know by commenting wisdom below. If you feel something is missing, please comment reflection to help me understand how I can better address your needs in future writings. Now, let's begin our journey toward lighter, more meaningful living. Releasing the weight of external validation throughout our lives. The weight of external validation often acts like an invisible anchor, limiting our sense of self and dimming our inner light. From childhood, we're conditioned to seek approval and conform to others' expectations. Whether from the well-intentioned guidance of family, the sometimes harsh assessment of peers, or the silent but ever-present pressure of societal norms. We dedicate countless years trying to shape ourselves to fit someone else's definition of worthy. We strive to be the irreproachable parent, the ever-dependable friend, the accomplished professional, always measuring our worth against external standards. But what if we paused and asked, why am I carrying this burden? What would happen if I simply released the need for others' approval? By the time we reach our 60s, we've weathered enough seasons of triumph and challenge to recognize a profound truth. No one else's opinion can define our intrinsic worth. After decades of living, we begin to see the futility of constantly seeking validation from others. Looking back, the energy wasted in fear of criticism becomes painfully apparent. All those moments of potential joy sacrificed at the altar of external judgment. Think about all the times you held back from expressing your true self because you feared criticism. How many dreams remained unexplored because of the pressure to conform? How many genuine moments of connection and delight slipped away because you were preoccupied with being judged? It's a sobering realization, isn't it? Yet, here lies the beauty of maturity. With age comes clarity. We gradually see things as they truly are. People will always form opinions, but these assessments are merely background noise unless we allow them to define us. Can you imagine the pure, unfiltered freedom that comes from no longer giving weight to whether others approve of your choices, your lifestyle, or even your appearance? Picture waking each morning knowing that your decisions spring from authentic self-knowledge rather than the need to please others. How might your daily life transform if you fully embraced this liberation? The truth is, releasing this burden feels like shedding chains that have bound us for far too long. It's a profound liberation, a rebirth of sorts. When we stop measuring ourselves through others' eyes, we reclaim our power, our voice, and our authentic selves. We're no longer puppets dancing to someone else's tune, but stand firmly in control of our own journey. This process of letting go is deeply personal, yet universally relevant. I'm certain many reading this have felt the same weight at some point. How has releasing the need for external validation changed your perspective? Did it feel like a breath of fresh air, as though the world suddenly opened up in ways you never imagined? I encourage you to share your experiences. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to break free from the chains of constant judgment. If you're still engaged with these reflections and finding them valuable, please comment wisdom below to let me know you're still with me. Releasing the need for approval isn't merely an act of self-assertion. It's an act of profound self-love. It's choosing yourself repeatedly in a world that constantly suggests you're not enough. The burden of others' opinions weighs heavily, but the freedom that comes from letting go is light, empowering, and, most importantly, yours to claim. Let's continue this conversation and celebrate the beauty of living authentically, free from the crushing weight of external expectations. Lightening the load of material possessions. As years pass, one of life's most profound lessons emerges. True Fulfillment rarely comes from what we own. Yet for much of our lives, we find ourselves caught in a cycle of accumulation. More clothes, more devices, more furniture, more of everything. We fill our homes with items we once convinced ourselves were essential, perhaps seeking security, or using possessions as symbols of achievement, tangible proof that we had made it. But with time comes the realization that the things we thought we possessed have somehow come to possess us instead. Consider this. When was the last time you experienced deep, genuine joy? I suspect that moment wasn't centered around something you purchased. More likely, it was a shared laugh with loved ones, the comfort of a friend's wisdom, a quiet evening of peaceful reflection, or the profound satisfaction of overcoming a personal challenge. These are the moments that remain with us, the ones that warm our hearts with lasting happiness. Material things, by contrast, might offer temporary pleasure, but they rarely nourish our souls the way experiences, relationships, and personal growth do. As we move into our 60s and beyond, it becomes time to honestly evaluate our relationship with our possessions. Do we truly need everything we've accumulated? Our closets, garages, and living spaces are often crowded with items untouched for years, things we keep out of habit rather than necessity. Certainly, some possessions carry meaningful memories, perhaps a handcrafted shawl from a special celebration, or a piece of furniture passed through generations. But here's an important truth. We can honor those memories without drowning in physical clutter. The memories live within us, not within the objects themselves. Imagine for a moment what it would feel like to release some of this weight. Walk through your home and observe mindfully. How many things have you kept simply because it's easier than letting go? What might happen if you chose to release just one item? Perhaps that sweater unworn for years, or the stack of books you've been meaning to read but haven't touched. The very act of letting go, of creating physical space, can be profoundly liberating. Decluttering isn't merely about making room in your home. It's about creating space in your mind and heart. Every item we retain carries a subtle demand on our mental and emotional energy. The more we release, the more room we create for new experiences, fresh joys, and moments of serenity. Picture how light and free you might feel if your surroundings reflected who you are today, rather than serving as a repository of who you once were. Imagine entering rooms characterized by spaciousness, possibility, and tranquility rather than accumulation. With maturity comes the understanding that life's richness comes from quality, not quantity. It's not about how much we possess, but about how deeply we love, how fully we live, and how meaningfully we experience each day. Releasing material possessions is a path to simplification, stripping away the extraneous to focus on what truly matters. It isn't always easy and may require time, but the lightness that comes from living with intention, with fewer things and greater meaning, rewards every effort. I encourage you to start small. Choose just one item and let it go. Notice how it feels. I promise that the more you release, the more freedom you'll discover. Your home can become a sanctuary of peace, where the past doesn't weigh you down and the future feels full of possibility. The burden of excessive possessions is heavy, but the joy that comes from thoughtful simplification runs deep. Let's embrace this journey together and share how creating space has brought more peace into our lives. 3. Declining unnecessary social commitments. How many times have you found yourself at a gathering, wearing a practiced smile and nodding politely, while inwardly longing for the solitude and comfort of your own home? How often have you attended functions out of obligation, knowing deep down that your spirit craved quiet reflection and personal time? For much of our lives, we feel compelled to accept every invitation, maintain relationships that may no longer nourish us, and keep up appearances for the sake of courtesy or social expectation. We become bound by invisible commitments, pulled toward interactions that drain rather than fulfill us. But as we grow older, especially as we enter our 60s and beyond, something remarkable happens. We develop the clarity and confidence to prioritize our own needs without guilt. We begin to understand, in a way that perhaps only comes with the wisdom of years, that life is too precious to squander on obligations that deplete our energy and bring minimal joy. We recognize that every moment is valuable, and we have every right to choose how and with whom we spend it. Have you ever accepted a social invitation purely out of obligation, only to return home feeling utterly drained, unfulfilled, and wishing you had honored your instinct to decline? It's an all too familiar experience, isn't it? But here's the empowering truth. It's perfectly acceptable to say no. Learning to decline unnecessary social commitments might be one of the most liberating skills you'll ever develop. Imagine the freedom of turning down an invitation without guilt, knowing you are honoring your authentic needs. What if, instead of automatically saying yes, you gave yourself permission to decline events that don't align with your true desires? What if you began listening to that quiet inner voice that yearns for a peaceful evening with a good book or a walk in nature instead of forced conversation in crowded rooms? Life becomes immeasurably lighter and more joyful when we reserve our energy for the people and activities that genuinely matter to us. This isn't about isolating yourself or withdrawing from meaningful connection. It's not about avoiding social interaction altogether. Rather, it's about being selective and intentional with your time and energy. It's about ensuring that your social engagements nourish your spirit rather than depleting it. When we prioritize our well-being, we show up more authentically in the interactions that truly matter. Our presence becomes more meaningful because we're there by choice, not obligation. Saying no doesn't mean shutting out the world. It means creating space for deeper, more fulfilling relationships and experiences. You're giving yourself the gift of presence, whether in the company of those who uplift you or in the restorative solitude of your own company. I invite you to reflect. Are there social commitments in your life that no longer serve you? Is there a regular gathering or relationship that consistently leaves you feeling drained rather than energized? What might happen if you gave yourself permission to step back, to say no without guilt or hesitation? By doing so, you open the door to a life with more peace, more joy, and more freedom. Remember, it isn't selfish to protect your energy. It's essential. By declining what doesn't resonate with your heart, you're saying yes to yourself. You're affirming a life lived on your terms, filled with connections and experiences that truly matter. Share your stories with others. How has learning to say no transformed your experience of daily life? Embracing natural beauty. For most of our lives, our culture bombards us with narrow messages about beauty. How it should look, how we should maintain it, and why we must endlessly pursue youthfulness. From magazines to television to social media's pervasive influence, we're constantly reminded that beauty supposedly equates to flawless skin, sculpted bodies, and youthful features. It's a standard that feels impossible to achieve, and as we age, the pressure intensifies. Society whispers that we should resist the natural signs of aging, that we should conceal our wrinkles, hide our gray hair, and desperately cling to an illusion of perfection that was never truly attainable. But what if we chose to reject that narrative? What if, instead of fighting the natural process of aging, we embraced it? What if we viewed the lines on our faces and the silver in our hair not as imperfections to be hidden, but as symbols of the rich lives we've lived? Every wrinkle tells a story, doesn't it? Each laugh line represents moments of joy. Each crease around our eyes speaks of challenges overcome. Those gray hairs aren't something to conceal. They're badges of wisdom, testaments to the knowledge we've gathered throughout our journey. The truth is that authentic beauty has nothing to do with conforming to society's narrow and superficial standards. It's about embracing who we are in all our uniqueness at every stage of life. Real beauty isn't about perfection. It's about the depth of our character, the kindness we offer others, and the confidence we carry within ourselves. It's about allowing ourselves to be fully seen, natural changes and all, without shame or apology. Take a moment to consider the people in your life whom you find truly beautiful. Is it their physical appearance that draws you to them, or something deeper and more enduring? Chances are their beauty has little to do with smooth skin or youthful features. Instead, it's the way they radiate compassion, how they move through the world with authenticity and grace. It's the wisdom in their eyes, the warmth of their smile, and the love they share so generously. That's real beauty. Beauty that can't be captured by a mirror or measured by cultural standards. As we grow older, we're offered the incredible opportunity to embody this kind of beauty, a beauty that emanates from within. We no longer need to chase external validation because we understand that beauty isn't something you achieve. It's something you live. It's how you care for yourself and others. the strength you demonstrate facing adversity, and the courage to embrace every aspect of yourself, including the parts that society might suggest you hide. Imagine how liberating it would be to fully accept yourself as you are, to see every mark of aging not as a flaw, but as a celebration of your life's journey. What if you looked in the mirror, and instead of focusing on what culture deems imperfect, you recognize the undeniable beauty of someone who has lived richly, loved deeply, and experienced so much? Letting go of artificial standards doesn't mean we stop caring about our appearance or well-being. It means we stop allowing external expectations to determine our worth. We define beauty for ourselves, on our terms, and that is one of aging's greatest gifts. So I ask, what would happen if you redefined beauty for yourself? How might your daily experience change if you chose to see the signs of aging as sources of pride rather than something to conceal? Share your thoughts and experiences. Your story might inspire someone else to embrace their authentic beauty and live with greater confidence and freedom. Authentic beauty is timeless. It's not about resisting change, but about honoring the incredible journey that has brought us to where we are today. Let's celebrate the beauty that comes from within and radiates outward, illuminating every room we enter, not because of how we look, but because of who we are. Reassessing activities that no longer bring fulfillment. Life consists of patterns and routines. Some enrich our lives with purpose and joy, while others gradually become burdens we carry out of habit. Over the years, we often settle into activities simply because they're familiar, without questioning whether they still bring the satisfaction they once did. But as we mature, especially after reaching our 60s, we gain the wisdom and freedom to reconsider how we spend our precious time. Are there hobbies that once filled you with excitement, but now feel empty or tiresome? Are there traditions you've maintained for years that no longer align with who you are today? One of the most liberating aspects of growing older is the ability to release what no longer serves us. This isn't about dismissing or devaluing the experiences that shaped us, but rather recognizing that we have the right to evolve. Our interests and passions naturally shift over time, and that's not only acceptable, it's beautiful. The person you were at 30, 50, or even 60 isn't the same person you are now, and your activities should reflect that growth and development. If you're still engaged with these reflections and finding them valuable, please comment wisdom below to let me know you're still with me. Take a moment to consider your daily routines. How much time do you spend on activities that feel more like obligations than sources of joy? Are there commitments you maintain simply because that's what you've always done? What might happen if you permitted yourself to let go of just one of those activities? Imagine the lightness you might feel by freeing yourself from something that no longer brings fulfillment. Perhaps it's a hobby you once loved, but no longer connect with. Maybe it's a group or long-standing tradition that now feels more like an obligation than a pleasure. It could be something as simple as a weekly activity you've outgrown, or something more significant, like a life routine that no longer fits your current desires. This stage of life allows you to release these unnecessary weights and make space for new adventures, new passions, and new avenues of fulfillment. Life isn't meant to be a list of tasks we feel compelled to complete, but a journey filled with moments that enrich our souls. By reassessing how we spend our time, we open ourselves to discovering what truly brings us joy. It might be a newfound interest you never considered exploring when younger. It could be an entirely new social circle, or a creative pursuit you never had time for previously. The beauty of this life stage is its freedom from rigid expectations. You get to choose what ignites your spirit. It's easy to cling to routines, out of familiarity, but what if we embrace the unknown? What if we welcome the idea that our interests, like ourselves, are meant to grow and change? You might surprise yourself with how much joy can come from trying something new or letting go of something that no longer sparks enthusiasm. So take this as an invitation to reflect. Are there activities in your life that feel more like obligations than joys? Are there routines you've outgrown but continue out of habit? This is your time to decide how you want to spend your days. By giving yourself permission to release what no longer serves you, you create space for new experiences that will bring excitement and fulfillment. Life after 60 isn't about winding down. It's about rediscovering what makes you feel alive. It's about filling your days with what truly matters, Whether that means rekindling an old passion, exploring a new interest, or simply enjoying the peace of unstructured time. Let's start a conversation about how reassessing activities has brought more joy into your life. What have you released, and what new fulfillments have you discovered? Your story might inspire someone else to embrace the freedom of living authentically. Releasing draining relationships. Relationships form the core of what makes life meaningful. The right connections lift us, bring us happiness, and provide that deep sense of belonging we all need. But not all relationships nourish us equally, and not every connection serves as a source of joy. Sometimes we find ourselves holding on to relationships that no longer enrich our lives. Connections that don't feed our spirits, but instead drain our energy and fill our days with unnecessary tension. Whether it's a friend who consistently brings negativity, a family member who habitually criticizes, or an acquaintance whose presence leaves you feeling diminished, these draining relationships can weigh heavily on your well-being. As we reach our 60s and beyond, it becomes increasingly important to reassess the relationships we welcome into our lives. We've lived long enough to understand the profound impact others have on our emotional health, and it's time to ask ourselves, who consistently brings joy, love, and support into our lives? Who makes us feel valued and appreciated for who we truly are? And equally important, who leaves us feeling drained, diminished, or unappreciated? Walking away from draining relationships isn't an act of selfishness. It's an act of profound self-care. It's about recognizing that we deserve peace, joy, and positivity, especially as we grow older. We deserve relationships that uplift rather than deplete us. And let's be honest, time becomes too precious to spend on people who make us feel anything less than whole. How many times have you maintained a relationship out of habit or guilt, even though you recognized it was unhealthy? How often have you left an interaction feeling emotionally exhausted, wondering why you continue to subject yourself to the negativity or criticism? Letting go of these draining connections is challenging. There's no denying that. But in doing so, we create space for healthier, more fulfilling relationships to enter our lives. Imagine what your daily experience might be like if you surrounded yourself only with people who genuinely care for you, who celebrate your successes, support your growth, and stand beside you during difficult times. Reaching this stage of life is a gift. It's a time to prioritize what matters most. And one of the most important things you can do for your mental, emotional, and even physical health is to distance yourself from people who no longer bring light into your life. That critical relative who always seems to find fault. It's okay to create boundaries. The friend who constantly complains and brings negativity to every interaction? It's acceptable to step back. You aren't obligated to maintain relationships that cause pain or stress, regardless of who that person might be. Releasing draining relationships isn't about anger or resentment. It's about reclaiming your peace. It's about choosing your well-being over the discomfort of confrontation. It's about saying, I deserve happiness, and I deserve to be surrounded by genuine care. You'll likely be amazed at how much lighter you feel when you release these burdensome connections. By letting go of toxicity, we open ourselves to the possibility of healthier, more enriching relationships. People who see us for who we are, who celebrate our uniqueness, and who want to grow alongside us. You deserve that kind of connection. We all do. And as difficult as it may be to walk away, the peace gained from making room for positive, nurturing relationships makes it worthwhile. Take a moment to reflect on the relationships in your life. Who uplifts you and who depletes you? Who celebrates your joys and successes and who diminishes your spirit? It's time to release those who no longer contribute to your happiness. Share your experiences with others. Your story might inspire someone else to take that brave step toward emotional freedom. You deserve to be surrounded by love, joy, and positivity, especially at this stage of life. By letting go of what no longer serves you, you're choosing yourself, your peace, and your happiness, and that's the greatest act of self-care possible. Abandoning comparison is often called the thief of joy, and for good reason. Throughout our lives, we're constantly tempted to measure ourselves against others, to evaluate our achievements, happiness, and self-worth by looking at the lives of those around us. We compare everything: a colleague's financial success, a neighbor's seemingly perfect family, a sibling's impressive accomplishments. In doing so, We fall into the trap of believing someone else's life is better, more successful, or more fulfilling than our own. But as we mature, especially as we move beyond 60, we gain a deeper understanding of an essential truth. Everyone's journey is different. Comparing our path to another's doesn't bring clarity. It only steals the joy we deserve from our own unique life. By this point, we've experienced enough to know that success has no single definition. What brings fulfillment to one person may not bring the same satisfaction to another. Financial wealth, professional titles, or social status may appear impressive from the outside, but they don't necessarily equate to a happy, meaningful life. Happiness cannot be measured by someone else's standards, nor can our worth be validated through comparison. Your life is uniquely yours, and your journey unlike anyone else's. That's something to celebrate, not compare. Think about how often you've looked at someone else's life and felt inadequate in some way. Maybe you've seen a friend travel extensively and wondered why you didn't have similar opportunities. Perhaps you've observed a neighbor's family gatherings and felt a twinge of envy, questioning why your relationships didn't look the same. It's easy to fall into that trap. Our culture practically encourages it. But what if, instead of focusing on what others have, you recognized all the beauty and richness already present in your own life? How much more peace might you feel? As we age, one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves is freedom from comparison. We've lived long enough to understand that joy comes from appreciating our unique path, not coveting someone else's. Your experiences, your wisdom, your challenges, and your triumphs, they are yours alone. No one else can experience the world as you have, and no one can feel the deep satisfaction that comes from living your truth. When we release the need to compare ourselves to others, we make space for gratitude, self-compassion, and a deeper connection to our authentic selves. Imagine the relief of no longer measuring your worth against someone else's life. Picture how liberating it would feel to truly believe that your success, happiness, and value are entirely yours to define. By letting go of the need to compare, you reclaim your joy. You can appreciate the richness of your life, the small victories, moments of quiet contentment and growth you've experienced through the years. Remember that we never see the complete picture of someone else's life. The success or happiness we perceive from the outside often conceals struggles we can't see. Every person faces challenges, heartache, and moments of doubt. While you might be tempted to compare yourself to others' highlight reels, know that you're only seeing part of their story, and your story, complete with its triumphs and challenges, is just as valuable and meaningful. Abandoning comparisons allows us to fully embrace who we are, without the weight of external validation. We learn to celebrate our accomplishments, regardless of size. We begin to understand that our happiness comes from within, from living aligned with our values and passions rather than chasing someone else's version of success. I invite you to consider: how would your life feel if you stopped comparing it to others? How might your days transform if you released the belief that someone else's life is somehow better or more worthy than yours? Your journey is uniquely your own, and that is something truly beautiful. Stop measuring your worth by someone else's yardstick and start embracing the joy and fulfillment that already exist within you. Letting go of comparisons isn't just freeing, it's a pathway to genuine, lasting contentment. 8. Redefining what success means. Now, in earlier chapters of our lives, many of the goals we set are shaped by cultural expectations or the dreams we once cherished. We aim for career advancement, financial stability, or reaching certain milestones that we believe will bring us happiness and fulfillment. But as time passes and we grow older, particularly after 60, we often realize that some of those goals no longer resonate with who we've become or what we truly want from life. The ambitions that once drove us may now feel distant or even irrelevant as our priorities naturally shift, and that's perfectly normal. Perhaps there was a time when you aspired to build a successful career, accumulate wealth, or achieve recognition. You may have accomplished many of these goals, but do they still hold the same meaning for you today? As we reach this stage of life, it's time to ask ourselves, what truly matters now? What brings a sense of fulfillment, joy, and peace? This is the perfect moment to redefine what success means based on your values and desires as they exist now, not what they once were. Letting go of former goals doesn't mean you're giving up or abandoning your dreams. It means you're evolving, allowing yourself the freedom to shift your focus to what matters most in this chapter of life. Maybe building a career once felt like your highest priority, but now you find more meaning in spending time with family, pursuing passions you never had time for, or simply enjoying the tranquility that comes with living more mindfully. As we grow older, we come to understand that true success isn't about status or wealth. It's about feeling fulfilled in the life we're living. It's about nurturing relationships, finding joy in simple moments, and being at peace with who we are. For many, this might mean dedicating more time to loved ones and creating memories that will outlast any professional achievement. For others, it might mean exploring a passion that was once set aside due to life's demands. Perhaps you've always wanted to learn a new skill, pursue a creative endeavor, or visit places that inspire you. Now is the time to embrace these aspirations without the weight of expectations. This stage of life is about living authentically, honoring your values and desires, rather than clinging to outdated definitions of success that no longer serve you. It's about allowing yourself to shift focus, to release goals that feel like burdens rather than aspirations. It's perfectly acceptable to change your mind, to say, "That no longer matters to me," and move forward with renewed purpose. Consider how your life might transform if you permitted yourself to redefine what success looks like. What would your days include if you released the pressure to meet outdated goals and focused instead on what brings you peace, joy, and contentment today? Would you spend more time in nature, with beloved people, or simply savoring the beauty of the present moment? The truth is, the goals that matter are those that align with who you are now, not who you once were. In redefining your goals, you're not only giving yourself permission to let go of what no longer matters, you're also creating space for new opportunities and experiences that align with your authentic self. This process is deeply personal, and there is no universal formula for what it should look like. Your journey is your own, and success can mean something entirely different for you than for anyone else. Take time to reflect. What truly matters to you now? What goals, passions, or dreams feel most aligned with your current values and desires? Remember, it's never too late to redefine your path. At 60 and beyond, life remains full of possibilities, and the power to choose what fulfills you rests entirely in your hands. Embrace the freedom to release what no longer serves you and focus on what brings the deepest sense of happiness and purpose. That is true success. 9. Prioritizing your joy without guilt. One of life's greatest challenges is learning to prioritize our own joy without carrying the weight of guilt. For many of us, putting others first becomes deeply ingrained, whether caring for family, meeting friends' expectations, or fulfilling work obligations. We give endlessly, often without considering what we sacrifice in the process. We're taught that selflessness is virtuous, and that making others happy matters more than attending to our own needs. But as we grow older, a simple truth becomes clear. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you expend all your energy on others without nurturing yourself, eventually you'll have nothing left to give. As we reach our 60s and beyond, it becomes evident that prioritizing your happiness isn't selfish. It's necessary. You've dedicated years to caring for others, often at the expense of your well-being. Now it's time to direct that kindness inward. This is your season to finally prioritize your joy, to replenish your spirit so you can continue bringing light to others' lives without depleting yourself in the process. Have you ever felt guilty for taking time for yourself? For declining something that drains you? For choosing rest over obligation? These feelings are common, but it's important to recognize that self-care isn't selfish. It's an act of love for yourself and, by extension, for those around you. When you prioritize your happiness, you become a better version of yourself, more present, more energized, and more capable of offering genuine support to others. If you're still engaged with these reflections and finding them valuable, please comment wisdom below to let me know you're still here with me. Imagine what your life might look like if you stopped feeling guilty for putting yourself first. What if, instead of viewing self-care as an indulgence, you embraced it as essential? What if you permitted yourself to pursue what brings you joy, peace, and fulfillment, without constantly worrying that you're letting someone else down? The truth is, when you care for yourself, you benefit not only yourself, but everyone around you. Your happiness becomes a gift to those who love you. embracing the freedom of lighter. Living life beyond 60 offers a beautiful, unique opportunity to live more lightly, more intentionally, and with greater joy. It's a time to release the burdens we've carried for so long, whether the weight of external validation, possessions we no longer need, draining relationships, or expectations that no longer align with who we are. When we release these burdens, we create space for what truly matters. We can focus on relationships that uplift us, experiences that bring fulfillment, and the simple pleasures that make life meaningful. Imagine the freedom of living without the pressure to please everyone, without the clutter of unnecessary things, without the heaviness of toxic connections. This stage of life allows us to live more intentionally, to choose joy, and to surround ourselves only with what brings peace and happiness. Let go of the guilt, and embrace the idea that your happiness matters. You've dedicated so much of your life to others, and now it's time to give to yourself. It's time to reclaim the energy you've poured into everyone else, and use it to create a life that truly nourishes you. This is your moment, your time to prioritize your happiness, to live lightly, and to find joy in what matters most. How will you start prioritizing your happiness today? What burdens can you release to make space for more peace and fulfillment? Let this be the beginning of a conversation about embracing the freedom that comes with choosing joy and living with intention. Remember, you deserve happiness just as much as anyone else, and this stage of life is the perfect time to embrace that truth fully. In closing, as we reflect on everything we've explored, from releasing the weight of external validation to embracing our happiness without guilt, it's clear that life's later seasons offer a beautiful opportunity to live more intentionally and joyfully.